The whole stadium was chanting Noah Bennett's name, but the second he saw me, the golden boy forgot how to smile. That should have felt like a victory. It didn't. I stood near the sideline with a digital recorder in one hand and a press credential bouncing against my chest, while 20,000 people celebrated around me like they had personally contributed to the final touchdown. Rain shimmered beneath the stadium lights. The marching band was committing several enthusiastic crimes against silence, and somewhere behind me a student screamed, "Bennett for president," which felt premature considering Noah was 22 and, as far as I knew, had no foreign policy experience. Still, if anyone on campus could win an election by smiling at a camera, it was Noah. He stood near midfield surrounded by teammates, coaches, reporters, and enough flashing phones to make the wet turf sparkle. Tall, athletic, blonde hair damp from the rain, blue eyes, that irritatingly clean-cut, all-American face that looked designed for cereal boxes, college brochures, and mothers saying, "Why can't you meet someone nice like him?" Noah Bennett was Westbridge University's starting quarterback, team captain, honor roll student, charity event regular, and unofficial patron saint of making everyone else feel underaccomplished. I was Evan Miller, 21, journalism major, campus sports reporter, owner of exactly $14 in checking until Friday, and apparently the only person in the stadium immune to Noah Bennett fever. Mostly. "Miller," my editor shouted through my phone. "Please tell me you got Bennett." That sentence sounds illegal without context. "The interview, Evan. Working on it. You promised me 5 minutes after the game." "I promised lots of things under emotional distress." She groaned. I ended the call before she could remind me that my graduation portfolio needed this feature. Again, I looked toward midfield. Bad decision. Noah was already looking at me. Not generally in my direction. At me. His smile disappeared so quickly it was almost funny. Almost. For one strange second, the celebration seemed to blur around him. 3 years ago, I would have known what that expression meant. 2 years ago, I would have crossed a crowded room to ask him what was wrong. Tonight, I lowered my eyes to my recorder and checked the battery even though I had checked it 4 times. People changed. Friendships ended. Some questions became easier to live with when you stopped asking them. "Evan." His voice reached me through the noise anyway. Of course it did. I looked up. Noah had left the cameras behind and was walking straight toward me, championship cap tucked under one arm, that perfect public smile nowhere to be found. My stomach tightened. Annoying. Extremely unprofessional. "Bennett," I said when he stopped in front of me. His gaze moved over my face as if searching for something he had misplaced years ago. "You came." I lifted the recorder between us. "Don't make it sentimental. I need a quote." Something flickered in his eyes. Hurt, maybe. Or maybe I was still stupid enough to imagine I could read him. Noah glanced toward the tunnel leading beneath the stadium. 5 minutes. That's literally why I'm here. Not for the interview. My fingers tightened around the recorder. The crowd roared again behind him, chanting his name, calling for their golden boy. Noah didn't turn around. He kept looking at me. And suddenly I had the uncomfortable feeling that whatever he wanted to say had nothing to do with football. Noah waited for me to answer, which was unfortunate because my brain had apparently filed for unpaid leave. 5 minutes for what? I asked. His jaw tightened. A conversation. Those usually require 2 willing participants. There it was, the smallest fracture in his expression, gone almost before I caught it. Around us, the stadium kept celebrating. Noah's teammates called his name from the tunnel. A reporter waved for his attention. Noah ignored them all. "Please, Evan." That word unsettled me more than it should have. Noah Bennett did not say please. The golden boy smiled, nodded, shook hands, and somehow made requests sound like favors he was doing for you. But this Noah looked tired. Not physically tired. Something deeper. The kind of exhaustion no amount of sleep could touch. Rain had darkened the shoulders of his Westbridge jacket, and his blonde hair had fallen messily across his forehead. Without the cameras directly on him, he suddenly looked less like the face printed across campus banners and more like the 22-year-old I used to know. That was dangerous territory. "Interview first," I said. "Fine." We headed beneath the stadium, leaving the roar of the crowd behind. The concrete hallway smelled faintly of rain, detergent, and freshly cut grass carried in on cleats. Our footsteps echoed beneath fluorescent lights. I kept half a step ahead because walking beside him felt too familiar. Freshman year, Noah and I had crossed this same hallway after late practices, arguing about terrible movies and whether gas station coffee legally qualified as coffee. Back then, nobody called him the Golden Boy. He was just Noah, the guy who stole my fries and remembered how I took my coffee. I hated that my memory kept preserving versions of him I had worked so hard to forget. You still drink it black? Noah asked quietly. I stopped. What? Coffee? He looked almost embarrassed. You used to drink it black when you were stressed. I gave a humorless laugh. Congratulations. Your memory works. Evan, do not. He fell silent. We reached the locker room, mostly empty now, with abandoned towels and open lockers marking the team's hurried departure. I chose a bench near the entrance and switched on my recorder. Professional distance. That was the plan. Noah Bennett. I began, adopting my reporter voice, championship-winning quarterback. How does it feel? He sat opposite me, elbows resting on his knees. Complicated. I glanced up. That was not the polished answer I expected. Complicated how? His blue eyes held mine. Everybody keeps telling me this is supposed to be the best night of my life. Outside, another distant cheer rolled through the concrete walls. And it is not. Noah looked toward the rows of empty lockers. For several seconds, he said nothing. Do you ever get everything you thought you wanted? He finally asked. And realize you built your whole life around making other people clap? My reporter instincts told me to follow that sentence. My history with him told me to run from it. That sounds less like football and more like therapy. A faint smile touched his mouth. Real this time. Small. Almost sad. You always did that. Did what? Made a joke whenever something got too close. I lowered the recorder. We are not talking about me. That is the problem. We never do. The room suddenly felt smaller. I stood. Interview is over. Noah rose too, but he did not come closer. Evan, wait. You had 2 years to talk. I reached for the door. The handle did not move. I tried again. Nothing. Behind me, Noah exhaled slowly. Tell me that is a joke. I pulled harder, then stared at the stubborn handle. Apparently, the universe has a terrible sense of humor. Noah checked his phone. No signal. I checked mine. One useless bar disappeared as I watched. Perfect. 20,000 people had spent the evening begging for Noah Bennett's attention, and somehow I had become the one person trapped alone with him. I leaned my forehead briefly against the cool metal door. This is fine. You say that when things are definitely not fine. I turned around. Noah was watching me with an expression I remembered far too well, soft and careful, and completely wrong for two people who were supposed to have become strangers. Stop remembering things about me, I said. His face changed. The sadness came back, quieter this time. I tried. A pause settled between us. Then Noah swallowed and said, That is what I wanted to talk to you about. What exactly did you want to talk about? I asked. Noah looked at me as if the answer had been waiting behind his teeth for years. Then he glanced away. Not like this. I almost laughed. You dragged me into a conversation after a championship game. We are locked inside a locker room, and now you are worried about timing? I did not lock the door. That is exactly what someone who locked the door would say. A quiet laugh escaped him before he could stop it. The sound hit me somewhere inconveniently familiar. I remembered that laugh from freshman year, usually after midnight. Usually when we were supposed to be studying and instead arguing about whether pineapple belonged on pizza. I hated memory. Memory never respected boundaries. Noah crossed to the door and tested the handle again. Nothing. He sent a message that remained stubbornly undelivered, then set his phone on the bench. Without the stadium crowd around him, the room seemed to strip something away. No cameras. No teammates. No coaches calling his name. Just fluorescent light, rows of metal lockers, and Noah Bennett looking suddenly unsure of where to put his hands. You really hate me now, he said. That is dramatic. You used to answer my texts. People grow. You changed your number. People also change numbers. You crossed the street last month because you saw me coming. I stared at him. Were you keeping records? I noticed. 2 words. Quiet ones. Somehow they carried more weight than they deserved. I looked toward the door. You stopped noticing me first. Noah went still. There it was. The old wound, finally breathing in the open air. Evan, do not say my name like that. Like what? Like we are still those guys. His expression tightened. I never stopped being that guy. Really? I turned toward him. Because I remember him. Freshman year Noah was late to practice because he helped me carry a broken desk 3 floors up to my dorm. He knew my mother called every Sunday. He knew I hated thunderstorms, but pretended I did not. Then sophomore year happened. You became the starting quarterback. Suddenly, everyone knew your name. And I became somebody you could barely look at in public. Noah lowered his eyes. That hurt more than denial would have. Say something. You are right. My anger stumbled. I had prepared for excuses. Excuses were easy to hate. That is it. No, his voice was rougher now. But it is where I have to start. Rain whispered against the narrow windows near the ceiling. Somewhere beyond the concrete walls, the celebration continued without us. Noah sat down slowly. For the first time all night, his shoulders were not squared like someone had trained him to stand beneath invisible spotlights. Do you know what happened after they named me starter? He asked. You became campus royalty. My father called before Coach did. Noah gave a small, empty smile. He told me everything I did from then on would matter. Every picture, every friend, every mistake. He said people were finally watching, so I had better give them someone worth watching. I said nothing. Noah rubbed his palms together, staring at them. At first, I thought I could handle it. Smile for donors. Say the right thing in interviews. Never complain. Never embarrass anybody. Be grateful. Be easy. He looked up. Then eventually, I could not tell which parts were me and which parts were the version everyone liked. The confession was not the one I had expected, but something in my anger shifted. Not forgiveness. Not yet. Just recognition. And where did I fit into that? I asked. Noah's face went pale beneath the fluorescent lights. He stood, slowly, leaving several feet between us. That is the part one have been trying to tell you for 2 years. My pulse stumbled. Then tell me. He opened his mouth. Nothing came out. I shook my head and reached for my recorder. Of course. Evan, wait. No. You wanted 5 minutes. You got them. I was scared. My hand stopped. Noah's voice had fallen almost to a whisper. Not of you. I turned. His eyes were bright, unguarded, nothing golden about them now. I was scared because you were the one person who could make me want a life nobody had planned for me. A life nobody planned for you? I repeated. Noah nodded, but his eyes stayed on mine. That sounds convenient. It is not supposed to. Good, because it does not explain anything. I heard the sharpness in my own voice and hated how easily he could still pull it out of me. Noah accepted it without defending himself. That somehow made everything worse. Freshman year, he said. You were the only person who never cared whether I started a game. You were terrible at accepting compliments. I was terrified of needing them. His mouth curved briefly, but the smile vanished. With you, I did not have to be impressive. I could complain about practice. I could fail a chemistry quiz. I could eat terrible diner pancakes at 2 in the morning and nobody was taking pictures. I remembered those pancakes. A 24-hour place off Route 17 with cracked red booths and coffee strong enough to remove paint. Noah always ordered blueberry pancakes and then stole half my bacon. The memory arrived warm and unwanted. Then you became important, I said. Noah flinched. No. Then everyone started telling me I was important. There is a difference. I am starting to think there is. Silence settled between us. The fluorescent lights hummed overhead. I glanced at my phone. Still no signal. You know what I remember? I asked. The Student Center fundraiser. Sophomore year. Noah's face changed immediately. He remembered. Evan. I walked toward you. You were standing with half the team. You saw me. I know. And you looked away. The words came quieter than I intended. That moment had embarrassed me more than I ever admitted. Not because Noah owed me attention, but because 3 months earlier he had known everything about me. Then, suddenly, acknowledging me seemed dangerous. I waited for you to come over, I continued. You never did. I wanted to. That does not count. I know. Again, no excuse. No argument. Just those 2 unbearable words. Noah moved toward the bench, but stopped halfway, as though even sitting near me required permission. My father was there that night, he said. So were 2 alumni who helped fund my scholarship. Coach had spent weeks reminding me that I represented the program everywhere I went. And I was what? Bad for the brand. No, his answer came immediately. You were the only thing that felt real. I stared at him. Do not make that sound romantic. I am not. Noah's voice cracked around the edges. It was cowardly. I knew what people were saying about us. I knew what some guys on the team were joking about. And instead of standing beside you, I thought if I created distance, everything would disappear. My chest tightened. There it was, closer to the truth than we had ever been. Everything did not disappear. I know. I did. Noah looked down. For a moment, he seemed smaller despite being taller than me by several inches. Yes, he said. You did. The anger I had carried for 2 years had always imagined this conversation differently. Noah would defend himself. I would expose every excuse. He would finally understand what he had done. Instead, he already understood, and that left me holding anger with nowhere clean to put it. Why now? I asked. Why tonight? Noah looked toward the ceiling as another distant cheer trembled through the building. Because this was supposed to be the night everything became perfect. He laughed once, softly and without humor. We won. Scouts were watching. My father sent me a message saying he had never been prouder. Everyone keeps congratulating me, and all I could think about was finding you in the crowd. My heartbeat became painfully noticeable. Why? Noah took one careful step closer, then stopped. There were still several feet between us, but the room felt suddenly narrow. Because every good thing that happened to me for the last 2 years felt wrong when I could not tell you about it. I swallowed. Noah, I am not asking you to forgive me. His eyes held mine. I just cannot lie to you anymore. A tiny red light blinked from the recorder on the bench between us, unnoticed by both of us. Noah drew a slow breath. There is something I should have told you freshman year. Something I almost told you that night outside your dorm. The memory struck instantly. Cold October air, Noah standing too close, neither of us willing to say goodnight. I forced my voice steady. Then stop almost telling me. Noah went completely still. The golden boy was gone now. No practiced smile. No perfect answer. Just a frightened 22-year-old man standing beneath unforgiving fluorescent lights. Okay, he whispered. This time I will. I have been in love with you for 3 years. The words were quiet. No dramatic music. No cheering crowd. Just Noah, standing beneath fluorescent lights with rain tapping faintly against the high windows, looking as though the sentence had cost him every piece of armor he owned. I stared at him. Once. Twice. My mind refused to cooperate. What? Noah swallowed. I love you, Evan. My chest tightened so suddenly that breathing became something I had to remember how to do. 3 years. Freshman year. The diner. The late-night walks. That October evening outside my dorm when we had stood inches apart, neither of us willing to leave. Every memory I had spent 2 years teaching myself to distrust came rushing back with cruel clarity. No, I said. Noah blinked. No, you do not get to say that. His face fell. I know I do not deserve anything from you. That is not what I said. I stood so quickly my knee bumped the bench. The recorder shifted beside me, its tiny red light still blinking. Neither of us noticed. You do not get to take 3 years of silence and turn them into some beautiful confession because we are trapped in a room together. I am not trying to make it beautiful. Then what are you trying to make it? Noah opened his mouth, but I was already moving, pacing toward the lockers because standing still felt impossible. Do you know how many times I wondered if I imagined everything between us? That maybe I was the idiot who read too much into every late-night conversation, every coffee, every time you looked at me like I mattered? You mattered. Then why did you let them destroy me? Silence. The question landed differently from everything before it. Noah's face drained of color. I turned fully toward him. You knew what they were saying. Yes. You heard the jokes. Yes. You watched people I barely knew decide there had to be something wrong with me because I was close to you. His eyes lowered. Yes. My voice became quieter. That was worse than shouting. And you said nothing. Noah looked at me again. I was afraid. So was I. He closed his eyes for 1 second. I know. Stop saying that. What do you want me to say? I want you to tell me why your fear mattered more than mine. Noah had no answer. The stadium seemed impossibly far away now. I could hear the ventilation system humming above us, the rain against glass, my own pulse. Finally, Noah sat on the edge of the bench. Because I was selfish, he said. Because my father had spent my entire life telling me there was one version of me worth loving. The successful one. The easy one. The son who never caused problems. His hands folded tightly together. Then football became bigger, and suddenly coaches, donors, scouts, reporters, everyone wanted that same version. I thought if I stepped outside it, I would lose everything. I stared at him. So you lost me instead. Noah's eyes lifted to mine. Yes. No defense. No excuse. Just the truth, plain enough to hurt. And the worst part, he continued, is that I knew I was doing it. Every time I ignored a message, every time I saw you across campus and pretended I had somewhere else to look, I told myself I was protecting my future. His voice trembled. But really, I was protecting the person everyone expected me to be. My anger remained, but something beneath it shifted painfully. I had wanted him to be heartless. Heartless would have been easier. You loved me? I asked. Yes. While you were pretending I did not exist. Noah nodded once. That is a terrible kind of love. His expression broke, not dramatically, just enough for me to see the exhausted young man beneath everything polished. I know, he whispered. That is why I am not asking you to love me back. For several seconds, neither of us moved. Then a metallic click sounded from the hallway. The lock released. The door eased open an inch. Freedom. I looked at it, then at Noah. He did not reach for me. He did not ask me to stay. I grabbed my recorder from the bench and walked toward the open doorway. Only when I reached the hall did I glance down and see the red recording light still blinking. My stomach dropped. 47 minutes recorded. I stopped breathing. Noah stepped into the doorway behind me. His eyes fell to the recorder. He understood immediately. Everything he had just admitted was sitting inside my hand. For several seconds, neither of us spoke. The recorder suddenly felt heavier than my phone, my notebook, and every unresolved year between us combined. Noah stared at the blinking red light, then at me. I expected panic. I expected him to reach for it, demand that I erase everything, remind me that one careless audio file could become tomorrow morning's headline. Instead, he leaned against the open doorway and closed his eyes. You recorded all of that. Apparently. I stopped the recording. The red light vanished. I forgot it was running. Noah nodded slowly. Okay. I stared at him. That is your response. What response would make this better? I do not know. You could start with the obvious one. Delete it. Yes. Noah looked down the empty hallway. Somewhere around the corner, voices echoed as stadium staff began closing up for the night. The celebration had moved elsewhere, leaving behind paper cups, wet footprints, and the strange silence that follows thousands of people going home. Do you want to delete it? He asked. The question irritated me immediately. Why are you asking me? Because it is your recorder. It is your life on it. Noah gave a tired smile. Maybe that is the problem. I said nothing. He pushed away from the doorway and walked a few feet into the hall. Without the locker room trapping us together, I expected him to become the golden boy again. Shoulders back. Smile ready. Everything controlled. He did not. For 2 years, he said, I have been terrified that somebody would find out who I actually am. And now, Noah looked at me. Now I am more terrified that nobody ever will. That landed somewhere beneath my anger. I hated that. I wanted clean emotions tonight. Anger was clean. Betrayal was clean. Sympathy complicated everything. Do not turn me into your escape route, I said. I am not. You confess everything to me, then suddenly decide you are ready to be brave. No, his answer came softly. I confessed because I finally understood that being afraid does not excuse what I did to you. I tightened my grip on the recorder. That still does not tell me what to do with this. Noah considered it. Keep it. I blinked. What? Keep the recording. Have you completely lost your mind? Possibly. A real laugh almost escaped me. Almost. Noah stepped closer, but stopped with several feet between us. He had been doing that all night, measuring the distance, refusing to take what I had not offered. I am not asking you to publish it, he said. I am not asking you to protect me either. Those are very different things. I know. He glanced toward the stadium tunnel, where a championship banner hung beneath harsh white lights. His photograph was printed across it, smiling and flawless. The Noah beside me looked nothing like that photograph. I spent years controlling every version of myself people were allowed to see, he said. Maybe I do not get to control this one. My phone suddenly vibrated as the signal returned. Then again, and again, messages flooded the screen. My editor. Friends. Campus notifications. Noah's phone began doing the same. Looks like civilization found us, I muttered. Then I saw a message from my editor and froze. Evan, call me now. Beneath it was a link to a campus social media account. The post had gone up less than 2 minutes earlier. Someone had uploaded a short audio clip. Noah's voice played through my phone speaker, quiet but unmistakable. I have been in love with you for 3 years. My blood turned cold. Noah stared at the screen. You did not post that, he said. It was not a question. No. I looked at my recorder, then back at the post spreading across campus by the second. Noah, I swear I did not. His phone lit up with his father's name. He ignored it. Then he looked directly at me. I believe you. And somehow, after everything between us, those 3 words frightened me more than an accusation would have. You believe me? I asked. Noah's phone kept vibrating in his hand, his father's name flashing across the screen until it disappeared, only to return seconds later. Yes. You did not even ask whether I sent the file to someone. Did you? No, then I believe you. It should have been simple. Instead, something inside me twisted. 2 years ago, I had needed exactly that from him. Not protection, not a perfect speech, just trust spoken clearly when other people were watching. Now he was giving it to me in an empty stadium hallway after the damage had already begun. My phone filled with notifications. The clip had crossed from the anonymous campus account to student group chats, sports pages, and local reporters. 30 seconds of audio had become 100 different stories. Some people called it romantic. Others insisted it had been staged. A few had already decided I leaked it for attention. This is moving fast, I said. Noah glanced at his screen. Everything around me moves fast when people think there is a story. His voice sounded exhausted rather than surprised. Then another call appeared. Coach Harris. Noah answered this one. Coach. I could not hear every word from the other end. Only the sharp rhythm of a man trying to solve a problem before sunrise. Noah's shoulders slowly straightened. I watched the transformation happen in real time. His expression emptied. His voice became calm. The golden boy was rebuilding himself right in front of me. Yes, sir. I understand. I will be there. He ended the call. What did he say? There is a meeting in 20 minutes. Coach, athletic communications, university public relations. And your father? Noah looked at the missed calls. Probably all of those people in one person. Despite everything, I almost smiled. He did not. They are going to ask me to deny it. The hallway suddenly felt colder. Maybe they will ask you to say it was private. That would be reasonable. Reasonable has never been the brand. Noah stared at the championship banner across the hall, at the enormous smiling version of himself printed beneath the words Westbridge's golden year. They will call it manipulated audio, he said, or a joke taken out of context. They will give me language that sounds truthful without requiring me to tell the truth. I knew he was right. I had covered college athletics long enough to recognize the machinery of reputation management. You do not know that yet. I do. His phone vibrated again. This time he switched it off. The gesture was tiny, but I felt its weight. What are you going to do? I asked. Noah looked at me, and for 1 second I saw fear move openly across his face. I do not know. There it was. Not bravery. Not transformation. Just honesty. I preferred it. Good, I said. He frowned. Good. For once, you do not have the perfect answer. A tired laugh escaped him. You really know how to comfort someone. I am not comforting you. Right. I am serious, Noah. Whatever happens in that meeting, do not make me part of another lie. His expression sobered. I will not. You cannot promise that because you are scared right now. You have to mean it when somebody offers you an easy way out. Noah held my gaze. Then I will mean it. We walked toward the stadium offices without touching, separated by maybe 3 feet and 2 years of damage. Near the elevator, voices approached. Reporters. Noah stopped. Instinctively, I expected him to move away from me. He heard them too. I saw the old calculation cross his face, quick and practiced. Who is watching? What will they think? What version of me is safest? Then something changed. Noah stayed exactly where he was. The reporters rounded the corner and immediately raised their phones. Noah, is the recording real? Who is Evan Miller to you? Did Evan release the audio? My stomach tightened. Noah looked at me once. Then he faced them. Evan did not release anything, he said calmly. Leave him out of this. One reporter called after him. What about the confession? Noah paused at the elevator doors. For half a second, I thought he might answer. Instead, he said, I will speak when I am ready to tell the truth properly. The elevator opened. Noah stepped inside alone. Before the doors closed, he looked at me without the smile everyone else knew. This time, he said softly, I am not looking away. The elevator doors closed between us, and for the first time that night, I had nowhere to put the feeling Noah had left behind. This time, I am not looking away. It followed me through the stadium corridor, into the press room, and all the way to the parking lot where rain turned the pavement silver beneath the lamps. By the time I reached my car, my phone showed 83 unread messages. I sat behind the wheel without starting the engine. The audio clip had spread beyond Westbridge. Local sports accounts were reposting it. People who had never met Noah were debating whether his voice sounded frightened, sincere, calculated, or rehearsed. People who had never met me were deciding what kind of person I was. Opportunist, secret boyfriend, bitter former friend. I laughed once, because apparently strangers could construct an entire relationship faster than Noah, and I could survive one conversation. Then my editor called. Tell me you are okay. Define okay. Still breathing and not answering reporters. 2 for 2. She exhaled. Did you leak it? No, I believe you. Twice in one night. Apparently trust had become fashionable. The original upload is gone, she continued, but copies are everywhere. Do you know who had access? I looked at the recorder in the passenger seat. No, that was not entirely true. During the interview, I had connected it to the Stadium Media Network to transfer game notes to the newsroom server. If the device had automatically synchronized before the signal dropped, the file might have existed somewhere besides my hand. I need to check something, I said. I opened my laptop and logged into the newsroom cloud. There it was, an automatically uploaded audio file with a timestamp from the locker room. My stomach sank. Access history showed multiple logins, including one from a shared sports desk account. No name, no clean answer, just proof that somebody could have taken it without touching my recorder. I sent the access log to my editor, then stared through the windshield at the rain. Across campus, Noah was probably sitting beneath bright office lights while adults in expensive jackets explained how to survive being himself. My phone buzzed. A message from an unknown number appeared. Do not contact Noah until the university releases a statement. I did not need a signature to understand the tone. 5 minutes later, another message arrived. This one was from Noah. They want me to say the audio was edited. I stared at the words. Another message followed. They say it protects everyone. I typed 3 different responses and erased all of them. Finally, I wrote, including me. The typing bubble appeared, vanished, then returned. Especially you. I almost threw the phone onto the passenger seat. Of course, there it was again. Protection. The beautiful word people used when they wanted fear to sound noble. I replied, do not use me as the reason. A full minute passed. Then, I will not. Rain drummed softly against the roof. I remembered sophomore year, standing across that crowded fundraiser while Noah looked away. I remembered how small that moment had made me feel. Now he had reached the same intersection again. Only this time the whole world seemed to be watching. My phone rang. Noah. I answered but said nothing. For a few seconds, all I heard was his breathing. They gave me a statement, he said. His voice sounded distant, contained. It says the recording was manipulated and that any interpretation of my private life is false. That sounds professionally meaningless. That is the point. What did you tell them? Silence. Then Noah said, I told them I would not read it. My grip tightened around the phone. What happens now? My father is on his way. That explained the exhaustion in his voice. And coach. He asked me to sleep on it. Noah paused. I do not think I can sleep as the person they want me to wake up as. Something inside me softened before I could stop it. Noah, telling the truth does not fix what happened between us. I know. It might not fix anything. I know that too. His voice grew quieter. But maybe the truth is not supposed to be a transaction. I closed my eyes. That sounded nothing like the boy who had spent years measuring every consequence before allowing himself to breathe. What are you going to do? I asked. Tomorrow morning there is a press conference. That was not my question. Another silence. Then, very softly. For once, Evan, I think I am going to disappoint everyone except myself. By 8 the next morning, Westbridge University looked as if somebody had scheduled a championship celebration and a public crisis for the same breakfast hour. News vans lined the curb outside the athletic center. Students gathered behind temporary barriers with coffee cups and phones raised. I stood across the street beneath a gray sky, telling myself I was there as a journalist. It was a convincing lie for almost 30 seconds. My editor had told me to stay away from the press conference unless I wanted to become part of the story. She was right. I went anyway. Through the glass entrance, I saw Noah arrive beside Coach Harris and 2 university officials. He wore a Navy suit, white shirt, and the expression America expected from him: calm, handsome, composed. Then his father appeared. Richard Bennett looked like an older, harder version of Noah, silver at the temples, posture perfectly straight. Even from across the lobby, I could see Noah become smaller without moving an inch. Richard spoke. Noah listened. Then his father placed a hand on his shoulder, and Noah stepped away from it. A tiny movement. Almost nothing. Somehow it felt enormous. Minutes later, the press conference began. I watched from the back of the crowded media room. Camera shutters clicked as Noah approached the podium. A prepared statement rested in front of him. He looked down at it for a long moment. Last night, he began. A private recording was released without permission. His voice was steady. Evan Miller did not release that recording, and speculation blaming him needs to stop. My throat tightened. Reporters immediately started calling questions, but Noah lifted one hand. I have more to say. Behind him, one of the public relations officials shifted uncomfortably. Noah looked at the paper again. Then he folded it once and set it aside. I was advised to tell you the audio was manipulated. The room went completely still. It was not. Somewhere near me, somebody whispered his name. Noah continued. The voice on that recording is mine. The words are mine. The feelings are mine. There was no applause. No cinematic release. Just the soft mechanical clicking of cameras documenting the exact second a carefully managed image stopped cooperating with its owners. Noah inhaled. I spent a long time believing that being successful meant becoming whatever made other people comfortable. I became very good at that. His eyes moved across the room. For one impossible second, they found me. And I hurt someone because I was afraid to be honest. My chest ached. I am not going to turn that mistake into another lie just because the truth is inconvenient now. Questions erupted. Was he confirming a relationship? Would this affect his professional prospects? Had the university pressured him? Noah did not answer everything. For once, he did not seem interested in being universally understood. There is no relationship to confirm, he said. That sentence hurt more than I expected. Then he added, I told someone I loved him. Whether he ever forgives me is his decision, not part of this press conference. The room quieted again. But I will not deny what I said, and I will not let him carry consequences that belong to me. Noah stepped away from the podium. His father was waiting near the side door. Richard's face revealed almost nothing, which somehow revealed everything. Noah stopped in front of him. They exchanged words I could not hear. Richard shook his head. Noah looked devastated for half a second. Then he nodded and walked past him. No argument. No performance. Just a son choosing a direction his father had not approved. I slipped into the hallway before the reporters could surround me. Noah found me near the stairwell 10 minutes later. His tie was loosened, his face pale with exhaustion. You came, he said. Occupational hazard. A small smile appeared. How bad was it? You disappointed several people professionally. Good. Do not get addicted to it. He laughed softly. Then the silence between us changed. Hope entered his expression, cautious and painfully human. I knew what he was wondering. I wished I could give him the answer both of us wanted. Noah, I said. His smile disappeared. I meant what I said last night. Telling the truth now does not erase what your silence did then. He looked down. I know. And I cannot become the reward you get for finally choosing yourself. His eyes lifted to mine. There was hurt there, but no resentment. I know that too. I nodded, because if I stayed another minute, tenderness might become forgiveness before I was ready. Then I walked toward the exit. Noah did not follow me. That was when I understood something I had not expected. For the first time in years, he was letting me leave without looking away. For the next 6 days, Noah did something I had never seen him do before. He stopped trying to control the ending. There were no midnight speeches outside my apartment, no flowers, no dramatic messages asking me to reconsider. He sent exactly one text the morning after the press conference. I am sorry. I am going to do better whether you see it or not. I read it 4 times and never answered. Then I started hearing things. Coach Harris announced that the athletic department would review how players had handled harassment and rumors inside the program. 2 former teammates contacted me privately to apologize for jokes they had made sophomore year. One admitted Noah had spoken to the current team about what happened, not to defend himself, but to tell them that silence could become its own kind of cruelty. I wanted to dismiss it as damage control. That would have been easier. But Noah never mentioned any of it to me. He did not ask whether I had heard. He did not collect his good decisions like receipts he could exchange for forgiveness. On Thursday afternoon, I saw him outside the student union. He was alone, carrying coffee and wearing an old gray Westbridge sweatshirt instead of the polished team jacket he usually wore in public. Two students approached him. I expected the automatic smile. Instead, Noah listened, answered something quietly, and when they asked for a photograph, he said, "Not today, sorry." Then he kept walking. Such a small thing. Such an ordinary thing. But Noah Bennett had spent years treating everyone else's expectations like instructions. Watching him say no felt strangely intimate. He noticed me near the library steps and stopped. For a second, neither of us moved. Then he lifted his coffee in greeting. Hey. No apology. No confession. No attempt to turn coincidence into destiny. I should have appreciated that. Instead, I found myself irritated. That is all. Noah blinked. I was trying to respect your space. You are annoyingly good at it. A smile tugged at his mouth. I can be worse. I remember. The smile faded, but gently. How are you? The question was so normal that it nearly broke me. Confused. Fair. Angry. Also fair. And apparently incapable of avoiding you on a campus with 12,000 students. Statistically impressive. I laughed before I could stop myself. Noah looked startled, then pleased, and something warm moved through the space between us. I immediately distrusted it. Do not make that face. What face? The one where you think one laugh means everything is fixed. His expression softened. I do not think that. Good. I think you laughed. He took a sip of coffee. That is enough for today. There it was again. No demand. No bargain. Just patience. I studied him beneath the pale afternoon light. He looked tired. Less polished. More alive. Your father? I asked. Noah's gaze dropped to his cup. We are not speaking much. I am sorry. I am not sure I am. He considered that. I spent so long trying to become someone he could be proud of that I never asked whether I was proud of myself. And are you? Noah looked across campus where students moved between classes, nobody stopping to applaud him. Not yet. His answer surprised me. But I think I could be. A cold breeze moved through the trees. I shoved my hands into my coat pockets. You know I still cannot promise you anything. I know. You might do everything right from now on, and I still might not be able to trust you the way I did. Pain crossed his face, but he nodded. I know that too. Does that not scare you? Noah smiled, small and tired. Everything important scares me lately. Then he looked directly at me. I am just trying to stop letting fear make my decisions. My throat tightened. Somewhere behind us, the clock tower marked 4. Noah stepped backward. I have practice. Right. He turned, then paused. Evan. Yeah. I'm glad you laughed. He walked away before I could answer. I watched him cross the quad, not as the quarterback on banners or the boy everyone wanted him to be, but simply as Noah. And for the first time since sophomore year, I realized I was no longer asking whether I could forgive the person he had been. I was beginning to wonder whether I wanted to know the person he was becoming. 3 weeks later, Westbridge played its final home game beneath a clear November sky. And for the first time all season, Noah was not the face on every promotional screen. He had asked the athletic department to stop using him as the center of its campaign. When I heard that, I laughed because apparently personal growth sometimes looked like refusing to be 20 feet tall on the side of a stadium. I covered the game from the press box. Noah played well, but what stayed with me happened afterward. He did not rush toward the cameras. He found Coach Harris, thanked the equipment staff, hugged 2 seniors, then disappeared beneath the stadium while everyone else chased the celebration. I waited 15 minutes before admitting to myself that I knew where he had gone. The locker room corridor was quieter than I remembered. No rain this time. No reporters. No crisis waiting around the corner. The fluorescent lights still hummed with the same indifferent persistence, but the championship banners no longer felt intimidating. They were just fabric. I found Noah sitting alone on the bench near his locker, still wearing his gray team shirt, his blonde hair damp from the shower. The door behind me remained wide open. He looked up and froze. Evan, you keep saying my name like you are surprised I exist. I am surprised you are here. That is fair. He stood, then seemed to reconsider and sat again. I almost smiled. Even now, he was careful not to crowd me. Good game, I said. Thank you. Terrible fourth-quarter interception. Noah stared at me. I knew there was a reason I missed you. The words escaped naturally, and the silence afterward changed shape. He looked down. Sorry. Do not apologize for every honest sentence. I am still learning which ones are allowed. I leaned against the locker opposite him. Maybe stop thinking of honesty as something people allow you to have. Noah absorbed that quietly. That was another thing that had changed. He listened now without immediately trying to become whatever the moment required. Coach told me you spoke at the team meeting, I said. Noah's shoulders stiffened. He told you. He said you talked about sophomore year. I did. Why? Noah looked at his hands. Because apologizing to you privately was not enough when I failed you publicly. The sentence landed softly and stayed. Some of those guys were your friends. Some still are. That must have been uncomfortable. It was. He looked up. I am discovering discomfort is survivable. I smiled despite myself. Put that on a motivational poster. Right beneath my giant stadium face? Exactly. We both laughed, and this time I did not punish myself for enjoying it. The quiet afterward felt different from the silences we had carried before. Less like absence, more like room. I listened to the full recording, I admitted. Noah went still. All 47 minutes. Unfortunately, I sound incredibly annoying. You sound like you. That is not a defense. His smile faded when he realized I had more to say. There was something I noticed. I continued. You never asked me to protect you, even when you realized it was recording. I had already asked you to carry too much of my fear. My throat tightened. That was a very mature answer. I hate it. I practiced being emotionally functional all week. I laughed again. Then I looked at the open door. 3 weeks earlier, I had wanted nothing more than to escape through it. Now I could leave whenever I wanted. That mattered. Noah followed my gaze. You do not owe me anything for changing, he said quietly. I know, and I meant what I said. I will keep doing this even if you never come back. I know that too. His eyes met mine, uncertain but steady. I took one step toward him. Noah did not move. Another step. Still nothing. I stopped close enough to see the question in his face. I am not ready to forget, I said. I do not want you to. And trust is going to take time. Then we take time. Simple. No grand promise. No perfect ending. Just time. I looked once more at the open doorway, then back at him. You told me the truth when we were trapped in here. Noah's breath caught. Yes. I held out my hand between us. I wanted to know whether you could tell it again when neither of us had to stay. Noah looked at my hand as if it were something fragile. Then he placed his hand in mine, gently, without pulling me closer. I love you, Evan, he said. This time there was no locked door, no leaking recording, no audience waiting outside. And this time, I stayed because I chose to. For a moment, neither of us moved. Noah's hand rested in mine with such careful stillness that I almost laughed. 3 years of complicated feelings, 2 years of silence, 3 weeks of rebuilding. And apparently we had reached the terrifying emotional frontier known as holding hands. You know, I said, most people make this look easier. Noah's thumb shifted lightly against my knuckles. Most people probably do not require a public relations department before their first date. We are not calling this a date. I did not say this was one. You were thinking it. I have been informed that my thoughts are no longer admissible evidence. I smiled. There he was. Not the quarterback. Not the campus symbol. Just Noah, nervous enough to make bad jokes and honest enough to let them fail. We left the locker room together, and the open door swung quietly behind us without closing. Outside, the stadium had mostly emptied. November air carried the smell of damp grass and cold concrete, and discarded programs skittered across the walkway whenever the wind picked up. Noah stopped near the field entrance. Can I show you something? That depends entirely on whether it involves another emotional crisis. No promises. We climbed the steps into the lower bleachers. Without thousands of people filling them, the stadium seemed strangely ordinary. Noah sat halfway up, and I joined him with one empty seat between us. I used to come here at night freshman year, he said, before anyone knew who I was. You never told me that. I did not tell anybody. He looked across the dark field. I would sit here and imagine hearing everyone chant my name. I glanced at him. That happened. Yeah. His smile was almost embarrassed. Turns out I never imagined what happened after they stopped. The scoreboard was dark. No cameras searched for his face. No strangers called his name. What happens after? I asked. Noah considered the question. You find out whether you like the person who is left. I looked at him beneath the pale stadium lights. And I am getting there. He glanced at me. I think he is less impressive than advertised. Definitely. He is anxious. Obviously. Bad at difficult conversations. Historically documented. Noah laughed. But I think I might like him. Something about that sentence moved me more than the confession had. Loving me had required courage. Learning to live with himself required something quieter and probably harder. I think I might like him too, I said. Noah's smile disappeared into stunned silence. Do not make this weird. I am trying very hard not to. You are failing. Evan, you just said you like me. I said I might like you. Journalistic accuracy matters. His laugh carried across the empty bleachers, warm and unguarded. I realized I had missed that sound, not because it belonged to the past, but because it reminded me that there had once been something good between us before fear taught us both to distrust it. Noah looked at my hand resting on the seat between us. Can I? He asked. I knew what he meant. I turned my palm upward. He took it. No cameras flashed. No crowd reacted. Nothing dramatic happened. That was precisely why it mattered. I do not know what this becomes, I said. Neither do I. I need slow. Slow sounds good. And if you start acting like you know what I want because you are trying to make me happy, I will become unbearable. Become. I stared at him. Noah immediately looked toward the field with exaggerated innocence. That was brave. I am practicing. I laughed, and our shoulders touched for the first time. Neither of us moved away. After a while, Noah said, Would you get coffee with me tomorrow? Black coffee. For you. Something with an irresponsible amount of sugar for me. He remembered. Of course he remembered. One coffee, I said. One coffee, he agreed. The wind moved softly through the empty stadium, and I understood that healing did not feel like forgetting. It felt like sitting beside someone who finally understood what they had broken, while discovering that neither of you needed to pretend the cracks had never existed. The next morning, Noah was already waiting when I reached the little diner off Route 17. Same cracked red booths. Same chrome-edged tables. Same coffee that tasted strong enough to dissolve regret. For one disorienting second, I could almost see us at 18 again, two freshmen with no idea how complicated growing up could become. Then Noah stood when he saw me, and the illusion disappeared. He was not 18 anymore. Neither was I. You came, he said. You really need a second greeting. I had 4 years to develop one. Apparently, I wasted them. I slid into the booth. Noah sat across from me, wearing jeans, a navy sweater, and no Westbridge logo anywhere. Without the uniform of his public life, he looked younger, lighter. The waitress appeared and Noah ordered blueberry pancakes with extra syrup. I stared at him. Some things survive personal transformation. I am becoming emotionally healthy, not unreasonable. I ordered black coffee and eggs. We talked for almost 2 hours. Not about the leaked recording. Not about football scouts or reporters or forgiveness. We talked about ordinary things. My graduation project. His terrible statistics professor. A documentary I wanted to see. The apartment he was considering after graduation because, for the first time, he had chosen somewhere without asking his father's opinion. Ordinary conversation had never felt so significant. There was no audience to impress and no crisis forcing honesty out of us. We simply stayed. Over the next several weeks, one coffee became another. Then dinner. Then long walks across campus when winter lights glowed between bare trees. Trust returned in inches, never miles. Noah never complained about the pace. When I pulled back, he let me. When I asked difficult questions, he answered them. When he did not know an answer, he finally learned to say, I do not know, without treating uncertainty like failure. In December, after our last class before winter break, we somehow ended up outside the stadium again. Snow had dusted the empty bleachers, and the field rested beneath a thin white layer. Noah stood beside me with his hands tucked into his coat pockets. Do you ever think about that night? He asked. The night my private recording became campus entertainment? Occasionally. He winced. Fair. I smiled. I think about the door. The locker room door? I nodded. When it was locked, I thought being trapped with you was the worst possible thing that could happen. Comforting. Then 3 weeks later, I walked through the same door voluntarily. Noah looked at me, quiet understanding settling over his face. That mattered to me. It mattered to me too. The cold air turned our breath pale between us. I stepped closer. Noah did not assume. He never did anymore. Can I ask you something? He said. You just did. Evan. I smiled. Ask. His nervousness was almost endearing. "Can I kiss you?" There was a time when Noah would have been too frightened to ask, and I would have been too proud to answer. We had wasted enough years letting fear speak for us. "You took 3 years to ask," I said. "Do not make me wait another 3. His smile arrived slowly, not the polished one from banners and television interviews, but the crooked, almost disbelieving smile I remembered from freshman year. Noah leaned closer, giving me every opportunity to change my mind. I did not. Our first kiss was gentle and brief, less like fireworks and more like finally setting down something heavy. When we separated, Noah rested his forehead lightly against mine and laughed under his breath. "What?" I asked. "Nothing. That is suspicious. I just spent years imagining this moment. And you are going to hate my answer. Try me." He smiled. "The real version is quieter." I looked across the empty stadium. No cheering. No cameras. No one chanting his name. Maybe quiet is better. Noah took my hand. "Yeah," he said. "I think it is." Months later, people still called him the Golden Boy sometimes. The nickname no longer seemed to own him. He played football because he loved the game, not because applause could tell him who to be. I wrote my graduation feature about identity and expectation without using Noah as its subject. Some stories belonged to journalism. Some belonged only to the people who survived them. We never became perfect. I still remembered the years he had hurt me. Noah still had days when old expectations tightened around him. Healing did not erase those things. It simply gave us a different way to carry them. And whenever I thought about where we began again, I remembered 2 versions of the same doorway, once locked, once open. The first time, circumstances forced us to stay. The second time, nothing did. That was the difference between fear and love, I eventually learned. Fear builds a life around all the doors you are afraid to open. Love does not lock them behind you. It leaves them open, then quietly asks whether you still want to stay. I did.